The Building and Facilities Construction Committee meeting of Wednesday, February 22nd, 2023 will now come to order at 4:04 PM in the resource room. And as usual, I'm going to ask everyone to give their name for the recorder. And Linda, please.
Linda Brown.
Raymond Klotz.
Fred Fontaine.
Bob Werby.
Matt Benoit, town representative.
And Shirley Mazinski, Chairman. Okay, the first thing on our agenda, Board of Selectmen assignment, the needs assessment and feasibility considerations supporting options for public safety and/or highway department building projects. And I did have Jen put on a review of applicant proposals and possible recommendations to the Board of Selectmen. So everyone had the opportunity to read all the information that we've been given?
Yes. Yes.
And do you feel that you are ready to give your choice of who you would like to present, first, second, third, fourth, whatever?
Yes.
Okay. And we can have a discussion about it, but if you want to give comments or questions that you have regarding them?
I'll go first.
Sure.
Okay. So there were three.
He's got tabs almost like me.
Keep myself organized.
Thank you. Go ahead, Fred.
RGB, HKT, and Context, they're all obviously qualified as far as, like, all the information is in there. And these three all, like, are kind of a tie for me. And they all seem to do similar projects as what we're looking at.
And which one were those again, please, Fred?
RGB, HKT, and Context. Context seems to have a lot going on. I don't know, like right now, they have all sorts of projects going on, so I don't know if that's means that that's good at what they do and they can keep, but is it too much stuff on their plate? I don't know.
Yeah.
RGB, I had a little bit of a harder time following their proposal, but then once I figured out how they were doing it, I'd probably go with them first, because they seem to have done projects that are very much like what we're looking at. And then, but I also liked HKT because of their focus on, the other one seemed to give lip service to sustainable design, but they really went into it. And they also.
And again, I'm sorry, which one?
HKT,
Okay.
and all three of these had similar projects. The other two, Weston and Sampson and L. Lyro, I don't know how to pronounce it. Lyro. The proposal seemed copy and paste, not really prepared just for Douglas. It kind of seemed like just another proposal to send out. But my
Okay.
2 cents.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, I actually liked Weston and Sampson. They were my number one pick. They had a lot of they scored almost all 25s, as far as I could see. The cover letter addressed everything. I mean, I thought it was totally the opposite of, you thought it was just like a boilerplate for everything they sent out. I don't know, it felt more personal to Douglas when I read that. And Lero, I thought was the one that was more like a boilerplate cover sheet. And all of their constructions they've done have all been renovations, so there's no new construction. And they've also had a lawsuit against them. And there seems to be a lot of staff turnover, so I didn't like Lero that much. And HKT had no financials. And a lot of outside consultants on that. And their outside consultants were giving us 10% commitment. So, and they had very small staff.
And which one was that one?
HKT.
Okay.
They were out, me. And Context didn't give any financials. And they did not give any time frame, percent of time for a project to us. You know, they didn't say where they would, how much they would be available for us. But they did do the Uxbridge Fire Station, so we could ask Uxbridge about them.
Yeah, Lisa and Matt are supposed to check all the references.
Yeah.
Or,
And RGB
yeah,
didn't give any financials, but they did give a completion schedule, which none of the others did. So I gave them points for that. And they've also done all renovations, no new construction. Their availability is 45%, which I'm not impressed with. And McRitchie is a consultant. I just wrote that down.
yep.
So to me, I liked Weston and Sampson. I think they're familiar to me. I don't know if we've ever had a project in town.
I think they've maybe done some other projects.
Yeah, I don't know if it's
Yeah.
recent or
I'm
20
not
years
sure
ago.
either.
Ring a bell.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So your first is Weston and Sampson. Who's your second?
well, let's see, I gave them the percent. Both had 70. Context was second. And RGB was third.
I'm sorry, Weston and Sampson was first, and,
Context second,
okay.
and RGB third.
You're good?
That's it.
Fred, sorry. Yours was RBG and then Context?
I kind of said they were all the same, but I'd probably say RGB first, then Context, then HKT. Not very strong on those. I could be easily
He's
swayed.
speaking with conviction, is what he's saying.
Yeah.
All right, Bob, you care to go?
Sure. I like what Fred said about HKT, because they talk about LEED certified buildings. They've completed a lot. I think we're looking for that, I would imagine. We're trying to look for energy efficiency and things like that. So I like them, but I think I'll go with Context, Weston Sampson, and yeah, HKT.
So HKT is first, or second, or third?
One of, yeah. Let's
Or
go.
those are your top three?
Yeah, those are my top three. Yeah.
So Weston and Sampson. And RGB? I'm sorry.
Context, Weston Sampson, HKT,
In that order.
in any order. Let's put HKT for me on top because I like to sustain.
Yeah, because we had a tie last time that we made the selectmen decide out of the two.
If I'm going to decide. They'll weigh in.
Okay, my first was Weston and Sampson. basically, all of them had, like we said early, just in general conversation, we're kind of hard to decide, but when it came down to responsiveness, that's where, to me, I thought Weston and Sampson and RGB, first Weston and Sampson, RGB, and Context.
You like context second?
No, third,
Oh. And what was the second?
RGB.
RGB, okay.
I'm sorry, Ray.
Oh, that's all right. Well, according to with my
We
flexible
skipped-
cheat sheet here.
Yeah,
I
sure.
had Weston and Sampson first.
Yeah,
I thought they scored the highest through
Yeah.
besides the project references, obviously, that we didn't call on. Second for me would be context. And then third would probably be the art. Actually, I have Lero as the third.
okay. So it looks like, you want to count them up?
Sure.
Matt?
Well, you have 3 first place votes for Weston and Sampson. That seems to stand above everything else. You have 1 first place for RGB and 1 for HKT. You have 4 second place votes for Context. Sure you want
Well, you're breathing through it, believe me.
How about RGB only showed up on 3 lists, as number 1 only once. Lero showed up on 1 list.
So do away with Lero, right?
HKT showed up on 2 lists.
HKT is out.
I think you're down to those 3, just by the votes and the numbers that you mentioned.
So,
Collectively,
who's number 3?
I think you have to somehow structure between 1 through 3, Weston and Sampson, RGB, and Context. Those seem to be the 3 most popular between the opinions of this group.
So how many RGB votes?
You had 1 for first place,
Oh,
1 for third place, and 1 for second place.
And we had Weston and Sampson
Weston
for
and Sampson
1, 2,
has
3,
3 first
4.
place votes, a third place vote.
Yeah, okay.
Context has 4 second place votes and a third place vote. Context is the only one that appears to have shown up in all 5 of your queue as a top candidate.
So, thoughts? Everybody good with Weston and Sampson?
I am.
Okay.
I don't know that I'd call them number 1, but I'd be okay with
You'd be okay?
it. Yeah.
Would you be okay with number 2?
Sure.
Who did you want for number 2?
Oh, I don't remember.
Was it Contact?
It's 2 was Context. I'm
Okay,
sorry,
Yeah.
Fred's 2 was Context.
yeah,
1 was RGB, 3 was HKT.
my 2 was Contact. So Weston and Sampson and Contact, 1 and 2? So that would probably be the tie. Who would send to selectmen, do you think? 'Cause RGB,
Context, despite 4 second place votes, did not receive a first place.
Sounds like second.
So,
However, the 2 folks who did not pick Weston and Sampson picked Context second.
okay. So how many, you said contact received what, overall?
4 second place votes and a third place. They're on everyone's top 3 major. They're the only firm that was.
Okay. All right. So Weston and Sampson first place, or you want them? Oh, these are the ones we just sent to them, and,
Well, I would,
Do we just pick one? I mean, or do we?
well, usually, well, if everybody seemed to fall in the same agreement, that was usually the one that went first place, although I think last time we had 2 that were kind of neck and neck.
yeah, they were.
Yeah, and a third one, I forget, I think we did do a third one, but I can't.
Yeah, but we didn't send it to the select
Yeah,
for them to review.
yeah,
Because we were so close on 1 and 2,
yeah.
we couldn't make up our mind.
Are we in agreement that the top 3 would be Context, Weston and Sampson, and RGB?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes?
I agree.
That's what the numbers say.
Yeah,
The numbers add up to that, yeah.
yeah. Okay. All right.
So who got the lowest votes out of those 3?
Out of those 3 would be RGB.
So I'd say throw out RGB. You know, don't give the selectmen too much.
Yeah. RGB,
Work.
they had a first place vote, but they had
Oh.
a third place vote, the second place vote. That's it.
Okay.
I think they were one of the ones that did they do the town of Northbridge?
No.
No. They had, I know why I flagged them, is because McRitchie, I think, has been working as one of their consultants, and McRitchie has been working here.
Yeah, but their availability is 45% for us.
And yet what,
Kind of low.
what-
That's available to us.
what I didn't even think of them, and then as I left, I started reading their approach and their project schedule, and they were the only ones that somebody mentioned that did a schedule and their time
Yeah.
frame. But, hey, and that's all right.
One of the comments that came out, Madam Chair, was no new construction. Didn't seem
Oh.
construction.
I think you said there was all renovation.
All renovations, and we need, right now, the highway barn cannot be renovated.
Oh,
No way.
but that's, they applied, so they
Oh,
know
yeah,
that.
no, but they could have given
Yeah.
us new,
Yeah, that's
Correct.
true. That's true.
If they-
Okay, so are you agreeable? We send all 3?
Yeah. I
Or
would
what,
send 3.
you want to have a motion?
well, you could tell them that it's a toss-up between Weston and Contact, and then RGB came in third with the votes. I mean,
I-
instead of, you know, and then let the selectmen go with that.
What do you want to do?
I like that.
I'd send a 3.
3? I would too.
Well, you can send the 3, but the top 2 are the Weston and Contact. Because RGB only got 2 votes.
A 1A and a 3.
Yeah, that's it, whereas the other 2 got a lot more on the top.
However you want to make a motion.
Do you want to make a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion to recommend to the selectmen to send Weston and Sampson and Context and RGB to the selectmen as contenders for this project.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
Motion made by Linda and seconded by Ray. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So voted. All right. We will pass that on to the Board of Selectmen and get it ready for process as to how fast it's going to be moved.
And
And
I have a
who
little
it's,
bit of information on the location. I subscribe to Mass Wildlife
of
and
the highway bond, if
of the
that's...
highway bond.
Yes,
So this is
okay.
part of that.
Sure.
And I was reading it, and they have a biomap, a new one for 2023 that has just come out. So I clicked on it, and I saw where the soccer fields are, that's protected land, and it's under the jurisdiction of conservation, and it's called Pine Needle Park, even though, I mean, I was at the tail end of Pine Needle Park being built, that subdivision down there. So this was news to me. And so I was like, wow, maybe somebody should look into that. Because I did go on the Registry of Deeds and see how this all happened back in the 90s. And, you know, how the town purchased the land and all that. But just because that's there at the Registry of Deeds doesn't mean it doesn't belong to conservation, I don't think. So if, Matt, maybe you could, you know, bring that, Steve Zisk might know something about it.
I, through the chair, absolutely look into that.
Yeah, 'cause there's a ton of wetlands down.
Yeah,
I
there
will-
is.
Yeah, oh, we're aware, yeah.
Yeah.
We've walked the site and, yeah, it was,
So there may be something that
however,
40 years ago was,
Yes.
the one thing I like to point out,
Sure.
I've used the biomat for years, obviously, biomat 2 when it first came out. They have great resources for what's considered core habitat areas, many other things.
yeah,
But I caution using that to restrict the project, and I'll tell you why. Only because the biomap has been proven to be just a resource for information, but not something you can rely on to say, this area is protected. The only one that is the NHESP,
that's right.
the Heritage Corridor. So even though it's more advisory, it's still important, of course. But it's, I wouldn't, a developer can't be shut down because an area has biomap, core habitat areas. Only-
But if it says whose jurisdiction it is, because there were other areas that said under town protection.
Sure.
But this one definitely said under conservation.
No,
Now, where
that's
did
the
they
case.
get that information? That's my question.
Yeah, so
You
if it's
know?
deeded Concom, it's protected, no doubt about it.
Yeah, so that might, if you want to put a highway bond there, need to be
Yeah, I'll look.
taken out of conservation, and good luck with that.
I don't get it. I think it's bullshit.
So,
Good to
Thank you,
check
Matt.
out. Yep. Thanks, Linda. Okay. We go on to item 3, which is administration report on projects in process. And I believe the oil spill, has it finally got the final? Ah, there's Matt. Hello, Matt.
Gotta figure out where the mute button, there it goes.
If I swear my speak, it's Novocaine, not Blue.
Oh, sorry.
Still a little numb. So thank you for that recommendation. I was kind of hoping you'd pick those 3, so I just sat here and was real quiet.
I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you. Sorry.
No, that's quite all right. I prefer not to speak much.
Sure.
I don't know exactly where we stand with the closure report from 21 Environmental. I do know that the new day tank is fully operational and has been alarmed, and has been alarmed. By that I mean the notification devices have all been installed, so if there are any problems with it, it goes to my phone, goes to Adam's phone. So our insurer is happy, and we're happy because we can monitor the system remotely and detect problems with it if they should arise before anything bad happens.
Great.
Let's hope. So pending an actual closure report on the incident itself, there's not much else to report. The system is up and running, it's running well. The building has done very well through this very weird weather we've had, so our systems are adjusting to the warm weather as well as the really deep cold that we had a couple weeks ago.
Good. Thank you so much. Any questions, anyone? You're good? Hopefully, all is well. Thank you. Item B, green communities.
Not much to update here. Our new project expediter has finished their reviews at all facilities, and they're just amidst producing reports for us for items to recommend. so that we can apply for the next round of Green Community Fund.
Oh, good.
The other project is completely closed out and sent in. So we're eligible for the next round. We just need some recommendations from our new expediter.
Very good. Questions, anyone? Okay.
What's the deadline, Matt, for the next competitive round?
Fortunately, I don't have it. It used to be March, and I know it changed because they do it twice
I
a
think
year
it's
now.
over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we can't recall, but I know we have time, so.
Okay, you'll get back to us the next meeting with that.
Absolutely.
All right. All right, we're, item C, municipal backup generator. And I think we were still waiting on that, and are we still? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And the municipal fire alarm, item D, we have to hold on that until we know what's happening with the municipal roof, right?
Correct.
Okay. The public safety radio system. There was some issues with the fiber network last time. Where are we with this?
I am very happy to say we are done.
Yay,
Wow.
complete.
We have final closure and acceptance to do, but we've accepted 85% of the project just about as complete. The police, highway, water, and fire departments are all using the new system.
Oh, wow.
Last week, the new 911 position was, they call it a cutover, right? So they had both boards running at the same time. They tested the new board, it's running perfectly, so they shut the old board off, and we are now running off all of our new equipment. Last night, I had an ill-fated effort to demonstrate to the select board the dramatic improvement in quality. I do have the audio files, and I can send you the two. You can compare the old, what a typical radio transmission would sound like on the old system to what it sounds like on the new system. And I think, you know, even as a layperson, you'll very easily be able to tell the difference. I just want to say that the file called bad radio transmission, that was every time. Like, there wasn't a whole lot of good radio transmission going on. Almost every call, almost every interaction on the old system was very similar to the file we'll be sending you, where the dispatcher is repeating over and over again, you're unreadable, I can't hear you, can you say that again? And now with the new system, we're clear as a bell to the point where you're hearing actually a lot of background noise getting picked up and transmitted. But it's, the chiefs are very happy, the rank and file, especially at fire, where they really struggle with this, they're very happy. We had minor $0 change orders at the end because both chiefs decided to switch out some equipment, but it was net, so no change to the price. We will close out the project pretty much exactly on budget. I don't think we're going to turn much back on that, maybe $3,000 or $4,000, but that's about it.
Questions, anybody? That is so good to hear. Thank you.
Can we take this off our list of projects then?
Linda wants to know if we can take this off the list of projects. Not yet?
Pretty please?
Pretty please, that's what I thought he said. So I didn't make a
Do we need
motion.
any reports or anything that have to be filed, or you're good? Everybody's good?
I think we can stop doing the updates. I think when we get the final, when Gene closes the account, I can either send you a memo or we can briefly update you. But at this point, there's no more construction to be done.
Okay. Very good.
So do
Thank
we
you.
want to remove it?
Sure.
Do we need a motion?
I don't think so.
All right, so move that from our list.
Very good. No more further construction. Okay, municipal main roof replacement, item F. Are we moving ahead on that with RFQs? or-
Yeah, so Adam had some help come in.
Yeah.
And basically a roofing contractor who was willing to help us write the specifications. We're probably going to pursue maybe a small outlay for an architect. So Selectman Fitzpatrick noticed, the extensive copper filigree work that, now I don't want to say filigree, but copper molding work that's done up on top. And so the way the old roof was installed behind some of that copper work, he feels that we should investigate that with the assistance of an architect to make sure that the specs for the new roof are very detailed as to how we want the new material to be installed, so that we're not damaging some of the historical features of the building. So we will pursue that, but I will say that we're still on track, Madam Chair, to have this bid package done and the work done during the construction season.
So, and as an add-on, I believe, the roof, the roof over the elevator part, is that going to be part of that?
We will bid that out as an add alternate
Okay,
and hope that the entire package comes in under budget.
okay. Questions, anybody? Good. All right, we'll be looking forward to that. Okay, item H, the HVAC for fire station. Where is,
That's G.
I'm sorry, G.
Yeah.
Sorry. Where is the HVAC for fire station project?
So last night, if you were listening to the select board's meeting, they approved an additional $31,000 to the original $300,000 project cost that will now cover the entire engineering, design, and construction for that project. What that means is that we're going to accept McRitchie's proposal for HVAC, and I've specifically directed, in this case, it's Bruce McRitchie who's actually doing the design work on the HVAC, to specify if there are any parts of the project that can be done in advance of the electrical work. So if we need to build walls, we need to sequester spaces, if we can install some ventilation devices in some of the restricted spaces in the building, we want to do that and not be held up by the electrical piece. But the electrical piece has been waiting for HVAC. So when the equipment is specified by the HVAC side, we'll make sure they have all the proper electrical connections built into the electrical design for the building. So the two kind of go hand in glove, and the electrical piece was waiting for the HVAC piece to be authorized. But we are now fully funded for both pieces of the project, and now it's just a matter of how fast they can turn around their drawings and bid package for both of those.
Okay. Questions, anybody? No? Okay, we'll keep us posted on that. All right, then the last one is item H, the fire station upgrade, which is, I think you just referred to, which is part of that whole problem or project.
Correct, Madam Chair, there is a note I should make for you guys, and that is, we're going to leave the old furnace in place. So I think almost everyone's going on a tour of the building. So now, if you go back into your memory cells, when you walked into that mechanical room, you would have had a large furnace on the right-hand side of the door.
Yes.
And in the left-hand corner away from you, there would be fuel tanks, correct? Is that everybody remembering that?
Yep. Yep.
The furnace is going to stay. The fuel tanks are going to be taken out. And the fuel supply for the furnace and the generator and for fire department vehicles will be a single tank located outside of the building, above ground, with all the necessary safeguards for an above-ground tank. The purpose for this design element is a couple of things. One is we have our own on-site fuel supply for fire trucks, which saves us, silly miles, right? Going back to the gas station, no matter how far we have to go. But, in an environment that's nice and close nearby, with no overhangs or other issues, the roofs to navigate. But more importantly, what it does is that the fuel that's in the tank will constantly be circulating. It'll be used for all of those purposes, and therefore will not get stale. And so when the generator does kick on, it'll be kicking on with fresh fuel in the tank, which is the goal with that reserve fuel supply. What it means is, as we prepare for major emergency events, we simply need to check the tank level for one purpose, and we'll be able to heat the building, power the fuel the generator, and put fuel on our vehicles as needed, all of our diesel vehicles.
Okay. Anybody, questions?
Yeah, I have a
Linda?
question. So those tanks are diesel that are in there now? Oh,
Yeah, so those are home heating fuel tanks that are in there.
oh, okay.
Number 2 fuel, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. And ARPA funding, I don't think, do we need to keep that on there? Are you, basically, the selectmen approve the ARPA fund? We don't seem to have anything that's coming up with recommendations, and
No, just to give you a quick update, if I could, Madam Chair, on
Sure.
how the decisions have gone. And so you may even see a couple of workmen around Town Hall from time to time. I'm going to do some quick math in my head. So we had $2.7 million allocated from the federal government for ARPA through our various local and county channels. The remaining balance after last night's select board decisions is $1.65 million. The lion's share of what has been approved to date has been building security related, so security at Town Hall in terms of the cameras that now feed down into the dispatch area of the police station, and a very extensive project, not just cameras, but various other security devices at all of our 4 school buildings have also been approved. And as I mentioned, the money for the HVAC upgrade at the fire station, and there's also a sizable set aside for the engineering work that you just, the RFQ that you just reviewed. So the funding for the studies that's subject to the project that you just reviewed, the applicants, that's where the funding is coming from ARPA. The remaining 1.65, the select board discussed at length last night with the systems manager for water and wastewater, trying to find a suitable project within either the water or wastewater or both systems that will substantially improve the town's operational capabilities and at the same time, meet that budget. Obviously, we have many millions of dollars worth of water and wastewater work that could be done based on the age of the pipes and the need for upgrades throughout the system. Right now, it seems like, not to speak out of school, but I think it's fair for me to summarize last night's meeting of the select board by saying they're now really focusing on a concept to improve the water main that comes up Depot Street and serves the municipal center, and to loop that line to Maple Street, and so that Maple Street can now be connected to Martin, and that would be one big continuous loop, so Depot to Maple to Martin, and that will alleviate a number of very significant problems for the water department in terms of dead-end lines that are heavily tuberculated, and every time there's any disturbance to the water system with hydrants being opened or other reverse flows, all that tuberculation finds its way into people's homes and the drinking water, and it's discolored and has to run for a few hours. So some of the pipes under Depot Street could be 100 years or slightly more than 100 years old, so it is time to consider replacing them. As far as the municipal center is concerned, a key aspect of our building is that domestic water service to the bathrooms and the sinks and everything else is coming into the building on the exact same pipe as our sprinkler system. which in today's code world is a complete no-no and is not allowed without, we don't have any backflow prevention or anything else. So what Mr. Sullivan is suggesting we do is upgrade the service to the building with a, distinct and separate domestic water service and a fire suppression water service. And with that, we'd be able to sprinkler the second floor regardless of any code dispute we may have with anyone. If it's easy for us to do, then we should just do it. We are increasingly running up against space constraints on the first floor with staff. We handle a tremendous amount of confidential information, especially in the benefits office and in my office. And my office is sequestered from the rest of the building, and we can close the door. Lisa and I can do our work on insurance and other things. But in the finance area, it's wide open. So whenever anybody has a conversation, it's really not private. We have to start thinking about making better use of the entire space at Town Hall. And the water project would allow that. The other conversation, or the other piece of the conversation, is we do have a significant issue with the water main on Main Street, roughly from the top of the hill called Franklin Street all the way to the Common. And Bob Sullivan really wants to upgrade that pipe. He's had numerous breaks. Those breaks are significant because they can, in some instances, lie between our main water tank on Church Street and the service connection back to the entire water system. So there's definitely a thought process, but that's a much bigger, much more expensive project. And much will depend on the recommendations the town receives from our architect on where to put the highway bond. Because it is entirely possible that depending on the location of the highway barn, we may want to run sewer and upgrade the water service to that building as part of that building project. In other words, fold the water and wastewater service piece into any borrowing we do for the building itself, since the building itself may require that service connection. So that's in a nutshell what they discussed for a good half hour last night. I probably took a half an hour to summarize. Sorry, I may not be the best summarizer there is, but that's my update, Madam Chair.
Thank you. That's good information. Anybody questions on what you just heard Matt say? All right. We have some minutes to go through, 2 sets. And I think we're good. If no one else has any questions for Matt Wojcik, and maybe we can let him rest his frozen jaw. I've been there. Thank you so much. Yes. All right, and Matt Benoit, thank you for your input. You're welcome to stay. We finish up with minutes, or?
Well, I have a question for Matt
Yes.
Benoit.
Yes.
So the minutes of November 16th,
Yeah?
first page, says Green Communities, Matt Benoit gave the committee an update. Were you here that night? Or did you send the committee an update?
Question.
Because it doesn't say you were
I'm not
present.
sure I know where it was yesterday.
It says Matt Wojcik
Uh-oh.
was present, but it doesn't say Matt Benoit. And I don't remember. Well, we can leave it then. So that was the only question I had.
Okay.
Benoit. But on the first page, about 5 lines down, maybe 6, where it says Board of Selectmen voted a broader mandate, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And Matt Wojcik to formulate an RFQ for all 3 building locations, but not a single building. So, but not a single is in there twice.
Sure.
So get rid of one of those.
Good.
And that was all I had on November 16th.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Through you to Ms. Brown, I found something on letter F on those minutes, and maybe you can help me understand this sentence, because I don't know what it says.
Oh,
Under public safety radio system, that first sentence, I don't know what it's referring to or anything, so if that's the right English, I just wanted to check.
where are
The
you?
spelling error, R-I-G-O-R-S should be R-I-G-G.
Where are
Should
you?
be rigorous.
Letter F on the second page.
Oh, letter F.
So it's just spelling.
I didn't know.
It's spelling.
And what is the spelling of, again? I didn't hear what you said, Matt.
Should be R-I-G-G-E-R-S.
Oh, rigors. Oh, I did see that
Yeah.
line.
Yes,
did read
I
that,
did
and I looked it up and I'm
too.
like,
Thank you.
I didn't know what it
that's
was, so
R-I-G-G-E-R-S.
Yeah.
that was the only one I saw. So.
Yes, I remember, actually, I think Matt
Yeah.
Wojcik was there because he was the one that said the rigors had gone up on the,
That'd be an easy mistake for a administrator to make.
yeah, really.
Oh, yeah.
No worries.
Yeah.
So that's the only two then.
All right, any other questions or errors, omissions? If not, do I hear a motion to approve as corrected?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion made by Linda, seconded by Bob.
Red.
Louder.
You spoke loud.
Fred? Okay.
Fred said it louder.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, signify
Aye.
by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So voted. And then we have December 21st, 2022.
On number one, the fifth line down. Mr. Wojcik feels it's important to stick with one firm for this project for one, so that they can get to know. I think it should just say for this project, so they can get to know. We don't need to put the for one.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
And then further on in that sentence, it says, Mr. Wojcik hand copies. And I'm like, hand copies? It should be hands copies.
Hands, yes, hands
an
out,
S.
hands out copies of,
Handed.
yeah.
And number 3 on the second page, towards the end of that, it says, the third proposal was heard from Bon Manerick. His name is Bob, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. B-O-B. And that's all I got.
Paragraph 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Number 3.
I'm sorry, yes, number 3.
Got it.
Got it?
Yep.
Okay. Any other issues? If not, do I hear a motion to approve as corrected?
So moved.
Second.
Second, yeah. Motion by Linda, seconded by Bob. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted. Thank you. And just a reminder, upcoming meetings, March 15th and April 19th. Anybody have an issue with those dates that you know of right now?
Nope.
Okay. I would like to ask that when I email you a reminder, just acknowledge it so I won't be pestering you. Because if I don't have a quorum, we don't have a meeting, and we have work to do and more coming. All right. If there's no further business that we hadn't put on,
That's what I had my one little spiel, like, we waste so much paper, I wish we could go all digital for a lot of this stuff, but
and I'd probably lose you totally because you don't get my emails sometimes.
Oh, I
so-
get
No, he wants to do.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know. I know. All right,
It's just this entire stack is going right in recycling, anything. Time is all of us, it's a shame.
Well, then sitting here, you wouldn't have an agenda, you wouldn't have any of that stuff.
Yeah, we did the cable commission meetings all digital, we all had a device.
yeah,
How do you get that? I mean, does the town pay for it?
We either had our own or there was, the
extra,
cable has
Yeah.
laptops
Oh.
in.
okay.
So if you didn't have if you weren't comfortable with your own device,
Yeah, because
Yeah.
sometimes it's so small
yeah.
to read.
Yes. All right, if there's no further questions, comments, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn at 4:55.
Second.
Motion made by Linda, seconded by Fred. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted. Thank you, everybody.